Today I've got an absolute fucking banger for you boys. So in the last 7 days, I've been able to make nearly $14,000 by literally working less. And when I say working less, I compare this to when I was working construction, right? Back in the day, I was working 50 to 60 hours a week. When I say back in the day, I mean literally like last year. 50 to 60 hours a week. I was physically exhausted, mentally checked out, severely underpaid, obviously controlled by a boss, Groundhog's Day. Every day felt the fucking same. I was depressed, directionless, and I felt like I wasn't working towards being the person that I actually wanted to be. Compared to now, working completely online in the last 7 days, been able to make this much money, and I work a significantly less amount of hours, 46 hours a day. It really comes down to how much I actually want to work in the day. I can work completely remote. I'm mentally dialed in. I get paid based on my work, based on the results I bring, right? My days are what I make them. I'm my own boss, and I'm actually waking up with purpose. I feel like I'm actually building a life that I want to live in comparison to here working construction, feeling like because I was getting paid so little, I wasn't really working towards fucking anything. Right? I was never going to be able to travel. I was never going to be able to get back to my mom, retire, do all these things where I can live a life of freedom because I'm not making much money. I always wanted to be able to buy stuff without looking at the price tag or worrying about what's in the bank. And now, look, I know a lot of people think, okay, maybe Huddy just got lucky. Maybe it was a one off. Maybe, he's just part of that 1% or that small fraction of people that are actually able to do this. But I want to show you just one example. And this is a guy who I've actually known for 10 years. His name's Liam. He's one of my best mates. And he said this quote: "If you never quit, you cannot fail." If you look here, he was able to make $6,000 in a single week, learning all the skills I'm going to show you today, combined with a strong work ethic and just being consistent. That's it. As you can see here, this is him and his high vis, right? He used to work a trade. This is a paycheck, 5.3k, nearly $700 here. That's over 6k in just a single week. And if we look here, he knew nothing about these skills I'm going to talk about today. He was doubtful. What else? No knowledge, no know-how whatsoever, scared, no confidence at all. He built his brand to 15,000 followers. What else? Family doubting him, lost friends and loved ones, put into debt to scrape by, and then now he's been able to manage to make 6k in just 1 week. Now, before I really get into this, there's a key concept that we need to understand here, right? We get paid based on the value we bring to the marketplace, right? It takes time, but we get paid for the value and not the time we're there, right? The key concept we need to understand is you get paid based on the value you bring to the market, not the time, not the effort. The value equals the income. And just to make this easier to understand, right? If we look at a retail worker, they're only qualified to make $30 an hour because they don't require any training to be able to do that job, right? The value that he provides as a job is something that anyone can fucking do. So therefore, he's only going to get paid $30 for an hour of his time. We compare that to a qualified electrician. It took him 4 years of training, getting an apprenticeship to be able to be qualified to make this much money per hour, right? That's pretty good. But then we look at the very top of the spectrum here, brain surgeons, they will make $364 per hour, but you need 15 years of training. And the point I'm trying to get at here is this is all 1 hour, right? $30 an hour, $113 an hour, $364 an hour. But what is the difference here? They bring different levels of value to the marketplace. Therefore, their hour is worth differently, right? Now, something we need to understand is when we're working a job, this is always going to be the reality of things, right? To make more money, we need to work more hours, right? Pretty normal. You need to fucking do overtime to make more money. You're only paid hourly. Your income is capped, right? You may get like $1 or $2 fucking pay rise per year or whatever, but your income is capped, right? You're never going to really make the money that you want to in a job. You're always, physically working. your value equals your output. You have a slow progression, obviously making more money every year. It's easily replaceable. At the end of the day, you're a fucking number. Burnout is common, right? The fact that you've got to work more to earn more, and everyone wants to fucking earn more because, you know, cost of living and everything else. You're gonna burn out, right? Because a lot of people, they work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, or they're working fucking 80 hours at their one job. You ultimately have no leverage here. You have no leverage here because, once again, time equals money for you, right? Because it's like, fuck, if I need to make more, I need to work more. Whereas if we look here in terms of actually going down the leverage path, where we understand if we increase our value as a person, we will earn more money. We now work smarter and earn more. We get paid for results, like I was saying before, right? You don't get paid for being there at the job site. I'm sure a lot of people can relate, everyone that's worked a job. You work with other people that, you know, you got the exact same role, you're getting paid the exact same per hour. But this guy over here, sitting on his phone all day, taking 10 bathroom breaks per fucking shift. And it's like, bro, like, how are we getting paid the same? I'm busting my ass here while you're fucking, you know, sitting on your phone all day. But that person over here would literally make $0, right? And you would make so much more because you're a hard worker and you're busting your fucking ass. We get paid here for results. You get paid what you're worth, right? Your income is actually scalable. You know, if your goal is to make 10K a month, but because you're only working retail or working a trade and you can't make 10K a month with that job, if you're learning high income skills, you can scale your income. Skill-based work as well. You have to obviously be skilled to do this. Value equals impact. Fast growth is very possible. You own the system, right? It's really up to you how much money you want to make. Time is leverage, like I was saying before, and more freedom means less burnout. So even for me right now, because I have the ability to work remote, be able to travel and work from home, I'm not as burnt out because I can actually fill my days with what I actually want to do every fucking day. Like, I'm about to go to the gym. It's like 10:30 now. After I finish this video, I'm going to go to the gym. Then I might come home, do some more work, whatever else. Like, it's really up to me how I want to go about my day, and therefore becoming less burnout because I can do more of the things that I actually enjoy. And to break it down, just to make a little bit more sense, these are 2 things that I do to this day that help me make money online. If I compare that to when I was still working construction, for 40 hours a week, I would make this much money, right? $1,200 per week. And I'd be using the skill of physical labor. Whereas when I'm a remote closer closing deals, just for 4 hours of my time, I could make that exact same money for literally 10% of working construction, working a full-time job there. Just because I have the skill of communication, I have the skill of persuasion, and even compare it to content creation, which I'm sure you guys know I do as well. One video, I can literally wake up one day and say, fuck, I've made $1,200 passively, right? Because I've built up a brand, I've built up an audience, and I have a strategy towards putting out content. So because of these skills here, I'm able to leverage my time better. I'm able to, leverage my value to get more time back. So I can make this same amount of money in less time, therefore me being able to make more money, or me be able to have more free time and do the things like I like doing, right? The key point I'm trying to get across to you guys here is it really comes down to your level of skill is what you're going to be getting paid, right? The value you bring to the marketplace is how much you're going to make. That's why I was able to 14x my income in 7 days by working less, purely because what I do now takes a lot more skill than working on a job site, working construction, where I just use my body and use my physical labor to earn me money, right? My hour is now worth more by understanding high income skills. So the number one thing for all of you guys watching is you need to develop your skill set. You need to understand skills, right? Now, I tried several different business models, but the number one thing that made a difference for me was learning the skills of both sales and marketing. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this exact thing, but this is what I suggest. Why is that though? It's because I was trying to build an entire business without knowing the basics. I would argue the 2 most important skills to have when starting a business is sales and marketing, right? Because without sales, you can't convert. You have no one to sell to. You can't take anyone's money, right? How are you going to sell your products if you don't know how to fucking sell. And then without marketing, right, you have no leads to convert, so you have no one to sell to. So without sales and marketing, arguably you have no fucking business. So that's why it made the most sense for me to knuckle down with learning these two skills over a lot of other things, because it could be editing, it could be knowing how to run ads, it could be whatever else, right? High income skills can look like a lot of different things, but I would say these two are the most important to start off with. That's just my personal opinion. Now, the way I personally went about learning these skills was working these three jobs or these three roles. Now, number one being appointment setting, right? These two pretty much cover sales. If you know how to do these two, you know how to sell. Essentially, appointment setting, all you're doing is booking in potential customers with a call with a closer who basically their job is to jump on a call and close that deal, collect the cash. And as someone who is an appointment setter who books in that call, they collect commission for basically doing that job. You're basically like the middleman between a business and a customer, right? You're just connecting them to, the solution that they're looking for, essentially. And then I just explained closing. It's basically the person that actually is taking those calls that get booked in by this guy, right? So I worked as an appointment setter for about 1 month. I worked as a closer for a couple months. And then I also worked as a social media branding manager, right? So I was managing big creators' accounts and helping them scale, essentially, showing them how to post content and whatever else. So by learning and working these three different roles here, I was able to learn marketing here, right? I was able to learn sales here because now I know how to book in a lead and also close a lead. And now, after understanding that, I'm able to build out my own digital product or build out my own digital service and have my own offer that I can sell. Or I can work with other people's offers and maybe have more of a consulting business where I help other people scale with this or with this or with this, right? So the point is you need to become skilled so then you can offer something like this, right? Because once again, as someone that's tried a bunch of different business models, SMMA, drop shipping, I've tried crypto, I've tried all those other things as well, which probably isn't a business model, but the actual businesses, to start one, you need to understand sales and marketing. Like, it is a fucking must. You can't sell digital products or services without actually understanding how to sell, how to market, how to promote something. Now, in order to land a role with, say, appointment setting, remote closing, or even like running someone's social media page for them, we need to understand what industry we're actually working in, and it's actually called the high ticket sales industry. Now, what does a high ticket sales offer mean, or what does high ticket sales even fucking mean, right? So high ticket sales basically means an expensive product or service, right? Now, when we say high ticket, we're talking about anything between the prices of $2,000 and over $10,000. That could be fucking $20,000, $30,000, $100,000. You fucking name it. It's probably a thing. And essentially, all you're going to be doing is working on behalf of that, helping them close the lead or book the lead in, or helping them manage their account so then they can sell more of their high ticket offer, if that makes sense. And to give you more of an understanding, I'm sure you guys have heard Brez. Brez Scales is absolutely fucking popping right now. It's probably one of the most popular business content creators at the moment. 20-year-old with a fucking GT3 RS. I'm jealous as fuck. Point is, Brez posts a lot of content which racks him up millions of views, and by using CTAs in his video, which essentially means reach out to me or comment the word this or whatever, he funnels that attention into his DMs, which then he converts his leads to his digital product or service. Now, I know he's got a few different digital products. I know he's got a mentorship. I know he's got consulting as well. I know he runs, he has another offer as well, but he uses this brand as leverage to sell his shit, basically. So your job as a high ticket sales rep is to turn these leads into high paying customers on behalf of Brez. Because the reality of it is, right, my man's got, nearly 700,000 followers there. He's got, $250,000 here. It's like, think about the amount of leads he's getting through his DMs. Thousands and thousands, if not millions of leads coming through on a regular basis. Is Brez really going to be sitting there answering all these DMs? Absolutely fucking not. That's where you come in, right? This is where you're, on behalf of Brez, converting these leads once again into high-paying customers, right? But due to the high ticket pricing, you need to become trained, you need to become skilled in both setting and closing and social media in order to work in this space, right? That's the reality of things, because say you're selling a $10,000 offer, if you had just a link in bio, which is not this, but a link in bio just straight to the offer, see, people are going to see the $10,000 price and be like, fuck that, I'm not paying that. Why? Because they don't understand the context. They don't understand what they're actually getting. Therefore, there needs to be someone on a call with this person actually checking if this was a good fit for whoever's looking at it, and potentially getting that close over the line, if that makes sense. So point is, you have to be trained. You have to basically learn how to communicate and persuade someone into buying something that's $10,000, only if it's a good fit for them. But that is what you're doing on behalf of Brez. Now, if I were to start from scratch and I was like, okay, my goal is to make $14,000 in the last 7 days, like I just did, let me show you exactly how I did it and how I would do it again, because this is a very repeatable process that myself have done, that Liam has done, that a lot of the people in my community, or a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, have also gone through and been able to see success with. So this is the 4-step process to help you guys make as much money as you fucking want. So step 1 being, you need to learn how to book a lead, right? You will never be able to run a business without understanding this, okay? The easiest way to learn how to is just by working on an appointment setting role. Now, you never will be able to run a business if you don't know how to appointment set. Because again, the whole point of having a business is having a lead come through and getting them interested enough to, either jump on a call or get into some sort of consultation to then be closed. That's how fucking business works. You need to understand how to convert a viewer or someone who's just watching on the sideline to become a lead to then potentially be closed. You'll never run a business without it, right? So you need to understand this. The easiest way, like I did, was getting an appointment setting role. Now, to become a setter, you need to understand 2 things. You need to understand how to set, obviously the skill itself. You need to work on a solid offer, right? That's just the reality. You need to actually have the skills. You need to become trained in order to do this. And to actually find a role, you have 2 options. You can either go on job boards like Seek, like LinkedIn, like fucking Indeed.com, or you can do cold outreach on IG, on YouTube, on School. The list really goes on. But what I recommend, now you don't have to do this, is join a sales agency. Why? Because they will teach you, they will train you, and because they're a sales agency, they'll most likely put you on with one of their clients that you can work with. The only thing is that you need to invest into something like that, because people aren't going to train you for free. They're not going to give you their expertise for free. But that's what I did, right? The reality is, like, it's going to take a lot more time to do this, because you got to convince someone that, you are the good fit for their business when you've never had any training, in comparison to just going under someone's wing and being able to also have that network there to get helped out and to get put on a different offer, if that makes sense. But I would say appointment setting is the perfect side hustle. Why is that? Because even for me, like I was saying before, when I was in construction, I was working 50 to 60 hours per week, and I was still managing to make between $500 to $1,000 on the side of while still working construction. So I would say it's the perfect side hustle, because you can literally go home, send some DMs on your phone, and then eventually make enough, which for me was enough for me to like replace my income and then do this shit full time. But again, it's really simple. It can take time to learn, but it's up to you whether you invest in training or a sales agency to start, or you can spend countless hours doing outreach to find a role. It really is up to you. I think a lot of people get it mixed up with, should I, I don't want to spend any money. I don't want to fucking, risk doing that, and I'll just fucking do all this outreach on my own and try and find a role. But people can take a long ass time to do that, and to get to a point where you're actually working on a good offer and making some money, and actually a well-trained appointment setter as well. The thing is like, if you invest in training or you invest in some sort of sales agency, you're literally buying back your time, because once you get help from someone who knows what the fuck they're doing and get the right network to be put on a good role off the rip, you're going to make so much more money in return of, wasting 12 months just trying to fucking do a bunch of cold outreach and find a role on your own, and also get trained just by watching YouTube or whatever else. So What I recommend is this, only because this is what I've done it. But again, it's really up to you. As you can see here, as a full-time appointment setter, the average income per week is $1,500 to $2,000 per week. You can make some pretty good money, 6 to 8K per week, per month, literally just sending DMs from your phone. Now, this was something that I did on the side of my job, so I didn't make that much money, but as you can see here, 500 USD, 1200 USD. That was probably my best week as an appointment setter. 800 USD, 800 USD. This was like my first ever pay. I was pretty fucking ecstatic, I'm not gonna lie. And just to show you guys like the level of extent, or the potential there is in appointment setting, this is Callum here, right? One of the boys inside of the community that I'm in, and he was able to make $18,500 by being an appointment setter manager. Right now, he wasn't just sending DMs from his phone, he was actually managing people that were setters. So he would make money based off how they would perform. And yeah, he made $18,000. That was by learning the skill of appointment setting though. If he didn't understand that, he wouldn't be able to make this much money. He's an Aussie guy, lives in Sweden now with his girlfriend, and he's doing pretty well for himself. But that would be the number one step, is learning appointment setting, because once again, if you don't know how to book in a lead, you're fucking cooked, mate. Step 2, we need to understand how to close a booked call. Now, obviously, it's all good and well to know how to book in a lead, but actually closing a lead is a very, very different ball game. It's a lot harder, right? But once again, you're never going to be able to run a business without actually understanding how to close a lead, learning how to actually do sales, right? So we need to do this. Once again, the easiest way to learn sales and to learn how to close booked calls is by learning remote closing, right? Once again, you have 2 things that you need to know: how to close, how to work on a solid offer. You can do cold outreach, you can join a sales agency. That's what I recommend. That's exactly what I did, right? Normally, right, once you work with a sales agency and you work as a setter and you're actually performing well and working pretty hard, making some good money, there'll be a natural progression to then become a closer on that exact same offer. Or if you're still working on the sales agency, you can become a trained closer and then potentially get put on a different offer. So it really depends. This is why I recommend joining a sales agency, because once again, like, yes, you can work as a setter. It's a good side hustle, but if you're wanting to make really good money, I really don't suggest staying as a setter long term. You want to progress into becoming a closer. And if you're in a sales agency, once again, they've trained you to become a setter. Now you're going to get trained to become a closer, and then you have other people to work with because you've got that network system there. So definitely recommend that. It's really up to you at the end of the day. But remote closing is the best way to learn sales by fucking far. Remember how I said high ticket offers price range from $2,000 over to $10,000 and more, right? If you can close some cunt on a call for $20,000 on a Zoom call with a guy that you've never met before, you can pretty much sell anything, right? Like, if you're that good at sales that you can close a guy for a $20,000 offer that you've never met before, how could you not close anything, right? This is a dangerous, dangerous skill to have. Because if you know how to do this, you know how to communicate, you know how to persuade, you are going to be good when you start your own business, when you go work with other businesses, whatever, right? On average, you can make between $1,500 and $3,000 per week as a full-time remote closer. This is in Australia, by the way, which is where I'm from. When I was working as a closer, I was roughly making about 2 to 2.5K per week. Not too crazy. I made like $10,000 a month, and it was pretty decent. It's pretty decent. Even to show you, I guess, more potential in this closing, just becoming a closer, working as a closer. This is Michael Holden, another guy from my community. He made $7.5K in a single week just closing after 5 months of learning how to do this, right? Pretty crazy. Even James here, who made 6K a week as a closer, used to work a 9 to 5. I'm pretty sure he's been working as a closer for a little bit longer now, but he's been only working for a closer for like 2 months at this point and made 6K in a week. These guys are both coming from trade backgrounds. This guy was a chippy, a construction worker, and then this guy was an electrician. So both previously a tradie, right? No experience coming into this. So pretty crazy. Now, step 3 is going to be social media branding. Now, again, this is not something that you have to do, but if I were to make this $14,000 once again, this is what I'd really tap into, because content creation is by far in its gold rush still at this point. And if you have a social media brand or a personal brand, you have a lot more leverage. And when I say leverage, I mean you can start working with businesses just because you have followers. You can network with people just because you have followers. People, like, business opportunities and doors will just open for you when you have a personal brand. I can say this from personal experience. I have talked to so many people that make so much more money than me purely for the fact that I have, nearly 80,000 followers, right? Once I successfully learned how to book and close leads, I moved on to building out my personal brand. All I did was just start documenting my journey with making money online, which helped me build an authentic and loyal fan base. This is what we want, right? I literally posted one video of me talking about, why I wanted to start making money online, how I wanted to leave my job, and it literally got me 50,000 followers in just one video, basically. And the biggest thing for me having this, once again, is just having leverage, man. Like, having the leverage to be able to work with other people, right? One of the things I'm doing currently is I've got an AI agency, right? I can approach businesses with this account purely for the fact that I'm like decently well known now, and be like, bro, I can help you with this. And I have so much more credibility purely for the fact that people can see my brand. People can see that I make money. People can see that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So purely for the fact that I have this, I can use this as leverage to reach out to other businesses, or have other businesses reach out to me. I get people that want me to promote their shit, get brand deals, literally make money just from posting content. I would say this is a massive thing. I know a lot of people are against putting their face out there, but you are missing out on some serious fucking coin. And then step 4, to combine all three of these things, is simply a little term called skill stacking. We're going to use setting, closing, and the power of social media to now build out our own offer or our own business. Now, something I want to share with you guys is one of the boys inside of ABC who he's left and gone and done his own thing now, but he's got his own personal brand that he's been able to scale to 70,000 followers, as you can see here. So he learned how to build his personal brand. He also learned the skill of sales. He was able to make $10,000 a week on a consistent basis, right? So he's learned marketing, he's learned sales, and now he's been able to build his own clothing brand. As you can see here, he's got shirts, $80 working here, and then he's got all his sales coming through purely for the fact that he actually knows how to market, how to sell. This is just what happens when you actually understand skills and not focus on business models. You can literally start your first clothing brand. A lot of people start their first clothing brand and they fail and they don't get very far with it. This was his first clothing brand. He had hundreds, if not thousands of fucking sales in his first drop, purely because he actually understood these key concepts first. But the point is, once you have these 3 skills, you understand how to sell and how to market, you can start any offer. Once I was saying before, like, when I am currently building out this AI agency, it's like, because I know how to sell, because I know how to market, I'm very well equipped to making this shit work and, limiting my chances of actually failing with this business, because I understand these key concepts. I've also worked with a lot of businesses as well, working as a setter for these people or a closer for these people, or managing their social medias for them. I've worked with businesses, which has also helped me understand how businesses actually work. So I really do recommend to anyone that's looking to make money online and you feel stuck or you don't know what to do, learn skills. Start with sales, because sales is the easiest. Sales will get you very far, and working with some really big people. And then start locking in with learning marketing, and it will take you fucking places. Now, I'm currently at the point where I can make multiple 5-figure weeks just by utilizing my skills of setting, closing, and learning how to market as well. But I'd be lying if I said that I got to this point on my own, right? For me personally, I started watching YouTube, I started doing research on my own, but I didn't really get very far or make very much progression until I invested into a sales agency. I invested into training and mentorship with a place called ABC. Now, a lot of people, they ask me, they need guidance, they need that extra help. And what I'm going to do for you guys is put a booking link for a one-on-one call with myself. And if you feel like you need extra help and you still are really stuck with everything, you can book in a call with me. There'll be a few questions to answer there just to help me to get a better understanding of where you're currently at, and we can talk about it. And if you have any other questions, you can just shoot me a DM on my IG. I'll link it in my bio, and we can go from there. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and if you need any other help, just let me know, and I'll see you on the next vid.